united existence you're missing. Then first you must seek what you're blessing. Even though Babylon system so oppressing. Now the survey, you must try to judge our way. Learn to pray.
Yes, if you tell me, I will tell them that tell me is on.
Did somebody say tell me? Then tell me about it. Tell me with host Carlisle Powell.
There are talk shows and then there is Tell Me. Your very credible source for information. Join us every Thursday night. You certainly won't be disappointed.
Alongside Dr. Kelvin Daly.
Panic and fear, uncertainty that is compounded by a leadership that appears unprepared, uncertain and indecisive in dealing with the coronavirus pandemic.
And Tulu Weeks.
Until God gets a hold of our Premier's life and transform him, he will go from bad to worse.
We are tired of playing politics. We need to see policies that will change the life of people, especially those of us in the diaspora.
Tell me. Carlisle, I want all human leaders rally for change.
Every Thursday at 8 p.m., you can be a part of this conversation by calling 669-7312. That's 869-669-7312. Also available on WhatsApp or from the diaspora 917-460-2187.
Every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. with host Carlisle Powell on 2020 Vision Radio and Facebook.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
Pico, the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS, and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Finney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166@yahoo.com. Pico, the way to go.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are solely those of the participants and do not represent those of 2020 Vision Radio or its advertisers.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another edition of Tell Me, which means that it's another Thursday closer to Christmas Day here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And we are happy as usual to be with you on a Thursday night. And so I say good night first of all to Tulu. Tulu people were calling in last week and asking for you. So happy to have you back in the studio. And I see that you're doing a lot better.
It's good to be back. I had some libation with some lime and some other stuff. And so therefore it is working well. Somebody wanted to find out from me what is libation. I told them you have to check Dr. Daly about that. But I found that libation works well. Yes, I was really down with the flu, but I'm happy to have been able to make out one target on Saturday. And here am I again. I'm back on a Tell Me program. Let me say good evening to all those who join us. A special good evening to Lynette Liebert and John over there in New York. Also to my sisters, Janet, also Sylvia and Valerie, to Lavanda, Miranda, to Elvan Ellie, to Mr. and Mrs. Romero Jeffers, and then also to Deborah and Cheryl Tyrrell, and all the other persons who join us on a regular basis. Call up a friend, tell them that Tell Me is on.
Thank you very much, Tulu, and let me say good evening to Dr. Daly.
I'm not hearing anything in my headset. Okay, yes, a little better. Thank you. Very low volume though. Hello, 1 2 3 1 2 3. You reading me good? I'm barely hearing. The microphone is turned all the way up. I'm barely hearing myself. Let me try another headset. One, two, 1 2 1 2 1 2. Good evening. Yeah, it's a little better. Good evening, all. Welcome to another edition of Tell Me. And as usual, if you are listening via YouTube, Twitch, FM dial, or on Facebook, good evening to all of you. Let me first say good evening to my brother Hugh down in St. Croix, my brother Danny and his wife who are up in New York. Of course, my brother Carl down in Atlanta, my sisters Evan and Judith in Connecticut, and my brother Carl up there in Canada. And right here on Nevis, my other brother Reverend Othniel Daly. And over there in St. James, my boys Turkey and Bose and Gary, and up in Westbury, Max. So I wish you guys a pleasant good evening, and you sit back and have a wonderful time with us this evening. I'm barely hearing myself in this.
I'm hearing you loud and clear, Dr. Daly. So
okay.
Next time when we come in, we make sure we check everything first.
All right.
Because I already getting messages to ask me how are we so unprofessional that we're doing testing live and here. And I don't take word very well, especially Christmas time. So, but I'm hearing you loud and clear, and you're showing good colors on the board as well. Mr. Good evening to Movet. Hope that you're well. And good evening to Shireen and Caden and Alan and Dahlia up there in the United States. Big sister Mary, of course, always tuned in early. And her husband John, daughter Janet, and coming down to the British Virgin Islands first and saying hello to my big brother Everett and his lovely wife Heather and the children, and then moving across to Tortola and saying hello to Glenda and her children as well. I say Glenda, and some people ask me why I don't say hello to Irma. It's the same person. So let me just say hello and good evening to you, and I hope that you're doing well. And that you're locked in for tonight. That should be an interesting show. We're getting closer to Christmas, and we are at budget time here in Nevis in terms of the birthday greetings. And again, I apologize. Some people, listen, birthdays don't change. Sometimes Easter does change, birthdays don't change. So I apologize to those persons who keep telling me that they sent me last minute greetings. And I didn't read them. I didn't read them because I don't see them. And you could tell me from the week before so that we can put it on the calendar. Don't wait until I don't see them and I don't read them and you quarrel with me, because that's not nice. So let me go to who we have here on the list for us. No birthday showing for Thursday or Friday. But on Saturday, we have Wendell Wallace, Micey, who will be celebrating, and lawyer Oral Martin will be celebrating on Saturday as well. Marvin Hanley will be celebrating on Sunday, as well as my good friend Miller Lawrence. Miller, I don't know if you're up in the cold or you're down here where it's nice and warm, but wherever you are, we are reaching you and giving greetings to you. On Monday, Mr. and Mrs. Dyer up there in Gingerland will be celebrating their anniversary, and we say all the best to you when it comes. On that very same day, Monday, the 8th of December, Chanel Pinney Myers will be celebrating her birthday. Chanel, when Christmas come, I like ham. So I'm just putting you on notice. I know it's your birthday and normally gifts go the next way, but put me on the list for ham. On Tuesday, the 9th, Rihanna, my Rihanna will be celebrating a birthday. And I have Melissa Cornelius as well, who will be celebrating. So those are who I have between now and next week, Wednesday. Remember, Thursday starts a new week, so we do the new ones on Thursday next week. So anything else came in that you can see, Dr. Daly or Tulu?
I saw one here from Steve Mills up in Canada. He's saying happy birthday to my niece Velda, celebrating today. I think that's the only one I've seen here so far.
Oh, Velda at Inland Revenue. Velda from Cox.
Yeah.
Okay. I tend to say where people are from, not where they live.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. So that's Velda. And yes, we want to send out our very good wishes to you. And now I'm checking my messages and I see that my neighbor Millicent Cornelius is sending birthday greetings to her very best daughter. Melissa celebrating on Tuesday.
Well, only one she got.
Yeah, but she said the best.
She never dare say that about her sons.
No, because she got more than one son.
Okay, then. She a smart mother.
Yeah, but she can say to her favorite and best daughter.
Of course.
Is only one.
Only one, yeah.
Nobody else can get jealous. Okay, so that's who we have, so we can sing.
I see one just came in here from Ivor Henry up there in Atlanta, in Georgia. He's saying happy birthday to my daughter, Zion. Oh, that's a lovely name, Zion. I used to live in Zion. Yeah. All right. You turned me down a bit. Yeah.
No, you shouldn't be hearing me turning you down a bit. You're peaking way in the red.
Okay.
So I just backed off a little bit.
I guess I'm just not hearing myself.
No, turn up your
It's all the way up. Okay, that's a little better. I'm trying, but it seems to be a bug in this thing here.
I'm hearing you loud and clear in my headphones. So you make sure that you turn up the right one and turn it all the way up.
It's all the way up, but it's not like you used to.
But
I'll work with it.
You're peaking in the red down here, so the people out there are hearing you loud and clear.
Okay. All right.
Okay, can we sing then?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Tulu, you are able to hold a chorus? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. And as usual from us in the studio, may you live to be 101 and us 101 minus a day. May God continue to bless you with good health, strength, and of course, wealth.
Okay, let me deal with a notice before we get going and then we get distracted and so on. The Lions will be doing health checks come tomorrow, Friday, right in the heart of town here. So the Queen City Nevis Lions Club, in collaboration with the Nevis Health Promotion Unit and the Taiwan ICDF, present an end-of-year health screening. And the measurements that will be taken include weight, blood sugar, height, blood pressure, calculation of your body mass index, urinalysis. And the Lions are encouraging you to know your status as we celebrate the Christmas season. And they're saying Merry Christmas to you. Where is this going to be? Right in the heart of town. The location, Cotton Ginnery Mall. And it starts at 9 a.m., finishes at 1 p.m. You can't miss the Lions. They will be wearing their nice gold vests. And so you go on out and it's free. 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock. And it's Cotton Ginnery Mall. Please go on out and get yourself checked for all of these different areas. Weight, blood sugar, height, blood pressure, calculation of your body mass index, and urinalysis. So go get yourselves checked.
Yeah, I always want to get my height checked, you know.
Mm-hmm. We'll do that tomorrow.
Check the weight, everything, not just the height, but the weight. Blood sugar, blood pressure.
I think they're taking the weight. I think you're taking the weight and your height just to get the BMI, the body mass index done. So it's just, yeah.
Tulu, say something again. Let me hear you.
Yeah, you're coming in. You're coming in low, really low.
You check to see if your mic is on, because I'm not hearing the kind of sound that I normally hear from Tulu. So you just make sure that that mic is on, and if it is not on, you got to put it on. Okay, you think that it is on? Okay, so in that case, then let me just do something very quickly so that I can
Do you know
go
what
and
you're
look.
drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
It's Thursday night.
Pico, the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Finney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166yahoo.com. Pico, the way to go.
Yes, if you tell me, I will tell them that Tell Me is on.
Did somebody say tell me? Then tell me about it. Tell Me with host Carlisle Powell.
There are talk shows, and then there is Tell Me, your very credible source for information. Join us every Thursday night. You certainly won't be disappointed.
Alongside Dr. Kelvin Daly.
Panic and fear, uncertainty that is compounded by a leadership that appears unprepared, uncertain, and indecisive in dealing with the coronavirus pandemic.
And Tulu Weeks.
Until God gets a hold of our Premier's life and transform him, he will go from bad to worse.
We are tired of playing politics. We need to see policies that will change the life of people, especially those of us in the diaspora.
Tell me.
Carlisle, I want all human leaders rally for change.
Every Thursday at 8 p.m., you can be a part of this conversation by calling 669-7312. That's 869-669-7312. Also available on WhatsApp. For From the Diaspora, 917-460-2187.
Every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. with host Carlisle Powell on 2020 Vision Radio and Facebook.
Welcome back to Tell Me, and we're ready to go, and we'll go. Dr. Daly, the budget was presented on Tuesday of this week. Is one of those budgets where the Premier makes a presentation and then he's gone. He's due to be in Anguilla. Somebody invited him down there for something. And we know that the Premier is a fellow. He says that they're putting strict limits on travel. But he left Nevis and went to Atlanta to a barbecue. So to hear him say that again, not for the first time, that they are putting strict limits on travel and so on, is almost laughable if it were not a drain on the Treasury. But he presented the budget. If you missed it, just pick up the budget from any previous year. It's basically the same thing. No new initiatives. This big destiny, which is supposed to be so important to him and a game changer, took up a paragraph and a half, and not even a long paragraph. But your impressions, first of all, is another deficit budget.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a very difficult listening budget. Like you said, cut and paste of last year and the previous year's budget. Nothing of any excitement. He spent more time speaking about his film industry than any other program that the government has. It was amazing. He spent at least 10, 15 minutes waxing eloquently about the film industry. And when you heard him speak about the hospital or geothermal or destiny or agriculture or anything else, he was pale in comparison. But, another deficit budget. And when you look at the numbers that went into creating this deficit budget, some of it is questionable. He's claiming in this budget that they will generate an average of 176 million of revenue from taxes, mostly VAT, and they will borrow $24 million from whatever institution. I don't know what institution. They hope to borrow 24 million. They are going to be relying on 35 million from CBI inflows this year, and they are going to get 4.6 million or 4.8 million dollars in grants from the Taiwanese. And last but not least, they are going to get 10 million for lands they plan to sell in the very zone that they said they don't have any land to sell. So it's a very difficult budget to digest because there are so many what ifs, so many how do you know so, big assumptions. And so once you're basing your budget on assumptions, you're not left with any great substance to support your programs that you wish to implement. And when I look into the capital expenditure of things, there was no there. I mean, $8 million for the hospital expansion. Last year was 12. The year before was 10. $8 million this year. Again, what are you going to do with $8 million? Really, in actuality, what are you going to do with it? It cannot take you anywhere of any distance into rectifying what happened up there in the hospital. So it's a piecemeal approach to a very big problem. I saw $1 million for the film industry, and we know that all of these filmmakers who are coming here doing their little jigs, they're getting copious amounts of our tax money because the premier, this is his baby, this is his industry, and he still has in place financial support to filmmakers to come to Nevis to the tune of $150,000 for housing accommodations and support services. I don't want to knock it's not my intention to knock Nevisians who have aspirations to be in the film industry. I have no difficulty there. But the cost of the return on the investment is not going anywhere. We are hemorrhaging money from this. And the premier is hell-bent on securing his industry because that's the only thing he has left. So that is my 2 cents on that budget.
Well, let me take you all the way back to the very opening paragraph 1. He says that this exercise in terms of the budget annually affords us the opportunity to account for our stewardship while providing the opportunity for us to seek approval for the implementation of our plans and proposals for the upcoming fiscal year. Here is my challenge with that. Mark Brantley might be thinking, he and his people in Parliament, might be thinking that presenting the budget and talking about the budget might be their way of saying, listen, hold us to account. But you can't really do that, honestly, because they go to the Parliament and they present plans for a number of things which they know will never come to fruition.
Yes, right.
Absolutely not. I mean, you take for the last 2 years, for example, 10 million, 12 million. So you're talking about over $20 million for the hospital. And they knew that they were not going to do any work at all on the hospital. So that 8 million in the budget this year can't fool me. It doesn't move me anywhere at all, at all, at all. But what it says to me is that the voters in Nevis are not like the voters in St. Lucia and in St. Vincent. Because in St. Vincent, you had somebody who was arrogant like Mark Brantley, who said, lift me up like Mark Brantley. But the difference is that in St. Vincent, the voters lifted up Ralph and dropped him on his head. What they need to do here in Nevis is exactly the same thing. Lift up Mark and try him as far as you can try him.
And that's the kind of idiosyncrasy that we are facing. In every aspect of our lives, everything that we do as adults is based on performance. Every single aspect is based on performance. Whether if you are a contractor, if you are a teacher, a doctor, a lawyer, your reputation for performance will decide whether you eat bread or not. And what we are seeing here is the kind of, allowances for the premier and his cabinet and his government for the last three terms, 2 terms to be more precise, with the premier. That we are no longer, the majority of people in Nevis, I shouldn't say them, let me rephrase that. A number of people in Nevis are looking beyond performance to say, well, he speaks well, he dresses well. While you yourself as a person are using a different yardstick to measure everybody else. You're using the appropriate yardstick to measure the performance of all those persons who you hold to account. And it's about time that we in Nevis follow suit. Because if you look at what happened in St. Vincent and in St. Lucia, in St. Vincent, it was a total rejection of the government based on the lack of performance. In St. Lucia, you had an endorsement of the incumbents based on performance, not anything else. You're not going to get, if you use a case of St. Vincent, you'd have had to have gotten persons who once supported Ralph Gonsalves' government to come over. And what was the basis for them to come over? Performance. What was the basis for a person to stay put in St. Lucia, and even some of the St. Lucia government opposition side coming over to the government side based on performance? And that's all that we're asking divisions to do. Look at the performance of those persons you are entrusted to lead and guide yourself solely by that.
It is good that you encourage them to operate based on performance, because the very premier would have said to them performance means nothing, it does not matter. So and I guess they would have bought into that, unlike the people in St. Lucia and St. Vincent, who said that performance is important. In Nevis, we were told it is not. And I guess some of us bought into it. Well, I shouldn't say, some of us bought into it.
I want to take you to, I got to find a way to get you another mic, because I'm still not hearing you. You used to come through very powerfully. I don't know what's happening, but I'm not hearing you as clearly. Dr. Daly, no, you stay right there. We're going to find a way to get another mic to you. Dr. Daly, I want to look at what people anticipated would have been taking up space in the budget in terms of the SSZ and Destiny. In paragraph 8 of the budget, it amounts to just about a line and a half. One sentence. The South Coast development enabled by the Special Sustainability Development Zone Act is one such new and bold initiative. It boils down to that. And the Premier, confirming what we have been saying all along, there are some people who are trying to tell us that you must segregate the SSZ Act from Destiny, the Premier in his budget on page 8, and not paragraph 8, page 3, says no, nothing goes up. The South Coast development enabled by the Special Sustainability Development Zone Act is one such bold initiative. And that's all. The Premier did not take more than one paragraph, paragraph 8, to deal with what he said is consequential. And it is going to be such an important moment in our history. This is the Premier bringing into Nevis a settlement of 15,000 people who are treated as the 15,000 people coming in to form a settlement here in Nevis. And the leader of that settlement, Mr. Janssen, is treating Nevisians as if, listen, who the hell are you think I'll be? And talking to your leaders. And your leaders have shown to us that they're all about money. So, the same way that we were able to confuse them with money, we're going to say to you, Nevisians and residents, you're worth $1 a day. And having been valued at $1 a day, the Premier just put one paragraph in his budget. I mean, I'm shocked, totally shocked and disappointed. I expected him to make more of this.
The Premier has made such a mockery out of trying to sell Destiny, or even denying Destiny and trying to sell this Destiny, that a fool is thought to be wise when he keeps his mouth closed. I think that the less he says, it's better it is for him, because Janssen is already fed up of him. And so, therefore, I don't expect a whole lot more from him when it comes to talking about Destiny.
Better you found this. I don't think he can reach. He's going to take off the strap.
And so we'll see what happens going forward. All right. Okay. Good. This is a little better. All right. You're hearing me loud and clear now?
Yeah. Much better.
All right.
You just don't have to step forward now.
Yes. I will make love to the mic.
Oh, man. Telling you.
I'll romance her tonight.
Wow.
Okay, so Destiny in the budget was a miss. And not only was that a miss, the Special Zone Act, he made absolutely no reference to that apart from that one sentence. So as far as I'm concerned, that as well was a miss. Much hype, nothing.
I think it was deliberate, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he wanted to have any parliamentary antagonism towards it, and so he deliberately did not bring it in, because he would have thought that perhaps the persons opposite would have had a field day with it, and so he deliberately kept it on a low ebb, so to avoid any conflicts. And it was a disappointment, because he now would have had the benefit of several stakeholder meetings. He would have had the benefit of a town hall and robust discussions on different fora. And so he would have been better positioned to make a more deliberate presentation in Parliament regarding the SSC, regarding Destiny, and the fact that he has now twinned them, while previously he was trying to separate them, speaks volumes. Because we have always maintained one cannot exist without the other. He and Dr. Drew have always been trying to separate. One has nothing to do next. But we all know that that's not the case. We are much smarter than that. And so, with the exception of those two politicians who have been leading the charge, for us to adopt this SSZ and to adopt Destiny, nobody else has really taken on that role or that position of trying to separate them, because they're inseparable. It's a Siamese twins. All right? And so it is perhaps a reflection of that lost argument, why Brantley is now going back to twin them and saying they're one and the same.
But
And
what could Brantley say going forward regards to Destiny that will be better than what he has already said? Drew, don't make him out to be a liar. Janssen has made him out to be a liar. he has made himself out to be a liar. What can he do to clean up this mess? And so the best thing he has done is what he did. Say very little about it, leave it to Janssen and Joe to sell it.
Keep moving on. I want to get to paragraph 20 because in paragraph 20, he confirmed something that we knew all along. He said, my administration was able to keep its recurrent expenditure within the projected limit of 165.07 million for the period up to October 31st, 2025. This achievement was possible despite significant spending on personal emoluments, which made up approximately 50% of the budget.
Read it again.
My administration was able to keep its recurrent expenditure within the projected limit of 165.07 million for the period up to October 31, 2025.
Mm.
This achievement was possible despite significant spending on personal emoluments, which made up approximately 50% of recurrent expenditure. That's not the end of it. Goods and services accounted for 19%, and debt servicing, consisting of both principal and interest payments, accounted for 19% of the recurrent budget.
There you go. Now, why would recurrent expenditure be on target? You recall, I mean, sometimes I wonder if Brantley has no memory or he thinks that we have none. Because you recall, right early into the new year of this year, he asked all ministries to cut the expenditure budget by almost 20%.
You're being kind. You said ask.
Demanded that they cut. And this was a meeting that was held with permanent secretaries in all ministries in February, barely 2 months after the 2025 budget was passed. And so this is all just fluff. It means nothing because he was the one who ordered expenditure, recurrent expenditure, cut severely. This was engineered or we were fiscally prudent. No, you passed the budget and then you cut it.
Mm-hmm.
You took a hacksaw to it and you chopped it up. That is why there's very little money left except to pay wages, except to pay salaries. That is why you see what you're seeing there. Nothing else.
And no expenditure on the hospital?
None.
None of the budgeted amount.
So there was $1 million put in the budget last year also for agriculture, for a new office complex for agriculture. Nothing was spent. I've seen the same million again in this year's budget. I can guarantee you that nothing will be done. You heard him when questioned about the steel that's sitting on the ground up there of Government Road, that they will be repurposed into a new agriculture building. I can guarantee you that next year, you'll still see the steel on the ground up there. This is just all, this budget is so disappointing at its heart because you cannot hold anything there to mean anything. The only thing there that you're not going to happen is wages and salaries. That's all.
Debt servicing.
And debt
19%.
servicing. 19%. I want people to understand what this means. It means 19 cents of every dollar made is being used to pay interest and principal on your loans. Almost 20 cents out of every dollar.
That's $30-something million.
$35 million a year is being used to service your debt. That is staggering. I looked at the debt, the pages where you recorded debt on the government. 53 million or something like that. $543 million. And that did not include the full 20 million from National Bank. You only included 7 million for what they drew down so far.
Mm-hmm.
And that's only up till October. So what you're seeing there at the total NIA debt is still not real. It is still not a total of the debt. Because if you drew down any money from the 20 million after October, when these figures were being put in, you're still coming out with a wrong figure. All right, so we are looking at a phenomenal debt. We are not paying down the debt fast enough to ease the debt payments. Principals and interest are sucking the life out of us. And if you do a side-by-side comparison, $35 million in debt servicing and $35 million in CBI receipts, bam, gone. Cancel each other. No benefit to Nevis whatsoever.
Well, let me ask you a question, Dr. Daly. What is there to show for this debt that we have to pay? Is there anything? Because if you have that debt to pay and you have something to show, well, we have this debt to pay because of this and this and this that we can see, it's one thing, but I can't come up with anything.
But there are some things in there that would have constituted some of the debt. We had what was started under Parry, the 30 million CDB loan for the water supply. That's part of the debt. The drilling that we're now doing for water, that's part of it. The expenditure for the hospitals and all those things that are not working, they still have to be paid for. They're part of the debt.
But they're no good.
But I'm telling you what's part of the debt. All right? So a lot of these statutory corporations have significant debt. We are still paying for the Deepwater Port, not NASPA. We're still paying significantly for that one. We're still paying heftily for the cost overruns at the Oily Pier and the Treasury. And listen, the one thing about money and debt, they don't disappear. If you don't pay them down or pay them off, they will suck the life out of you.
And they get higher. All right? And what this government has been doing is systematically running off their overdraft, expire them, and then convert that debt into a loan, and then start a new overdraft. This is one of the reasons why you see no significant movement in the debt reductions. You're not seeing it. Year by year, it's still above $550 million. If the government, during the time of plenty, when you had these huge flows in from CBI, during the TMUNT government period, 500 million, if significant portions of that money were being used to pay down the debt, that will free up a lot of liquidity in spending in the public service and create the kind of environment that grows the economy. But when you focus on paying debt, debt is dead stock. You're not getting anything out of that. But you're using good money to pay bad debt. You're not going to move the economy with that. You're going to actually reduce any elasticity, any consumers, any government spending on those things that can really put money in the people's pockets. And that is the dilemma where the government finds itself. They don't have the liquidity to pump money into the economy anymore. But Dr. Daly, as bad as you make it sounds, it's even worse. Because this does not include the funds for the airport.
No, it does not.
It does not include the money from Taiwan and the Drahi money. No. So you're talking about another 40-something million US dollars.
The total project for the airport is 140 million. But what they have been doing, even though we don't know for certain whether documents have been signed guaranteeing the loans, what they will do is the kind of accounting that does not add those to the debt until they're drawn down. And they would only include that portion that is being used, that is being drawn down. So if you get a $140 million loan and you only use $1 million will be reflected as part of the debt, not the remaining 139. So it does not look so bad on the paper. So it's just a clever way of bookkeeping to say that, we have the money, but we ain't use it yet. So it's not a debt. It's still there. All right. But people must be concerned going into 2026 with this level of debt, with the loss of 42% of the CBI inflows, $31 million. It's going to be treacherous out there for 2026. Anybody who owes $1 to the government, look for them to come for it.
Here is one of the challenges that I have. The government is broke. We are quite aware of that. And they have been broke for quite a long time. But the government continues to spend money like a drunken sailor just coming off sea. And I'll give you one example of that. In paragraph 22, Madam President, the capital expenditure for the fiscal year 2024 included the sum of 4.75 million spent on the Culturama 50 renovations. Leave the next sentence, go down to the next one. Well, let me read the whole thing. Our Culturama 50 homecoming celebration was a major event for this administration. We had not yet conceptualized the scale of renovation works at the time of preparing the 2024 budget. When I read that, I said that, listen, if a child had written that in an essay to me as the teacher, I would have put them in detention for a whole year. I mean, everybody knew that this was going to be a significant Culturama celebration.
50.
Everybody knew. And from the moment you started in 1974, you project ahead and you say 2024, that's going to be 50 years. You want to tell me that the government said when they started the renovations, they had not yet conceptualized the amount of money they had to spend?
I believe them.
I believe them, but this does not speak good of planning, of their planning.
What planning? I mean, what this government
That's
is
why I
not
tell you that they spend money like a drunken sailor.
Yeah.
They just take up money and spend it.
That if you don't have a plan, any road will get you there. If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you somewhere. That is the modus operandi of this government. Knee-jerk reactions, reaction to things in the economy. Rather than building a strategic plan and sticking to that plan, you just grab things out of the atmosphere and throw it in there. And so this is why the budget is so hard to follow. Because a lot of the things that are spent, a lot of the money spent in the budget are not accounted for in the budget. So the budget is supposed to be a sacrosanct document. It's a legal document. Once it's voted on in the parliament, it's become legal, you know. It now gives the government the authority to spend what's in there. But when you just grabbing stuff that happening out in the environment and throwing, you're going to run into difficulty, because it means that you're taking from programs that are funded in the budget, putting them aside and sticking what you want. I see a comment here that I think is worth reading it from Gigi Williams-Keach. He's saying this type of government is what the libertarians like to see. A broke government, a government that does not know where it's going. And so they become easy prey. They become vulnerable to suggestion. All right? That they can, anybody can move in with money and say, do this and do that, because you have screwed your own people out of their patrimony. You have screwed them out of their programs and policies. You know how hard it is for a permanent secretary to sit down with their staff from about the end of July, August, September the latest, and work out your plans and programs for the coming year, put it into a print, send it to Minister of Finance, discuss it at these budget hearings, get it printed into the final document, and only be told, man, don't worry about that.
That's when you're dealing with a kamikaze government.
Yes.
Let me go to the audit report, because every time it comes around to budget time, I grab the audit report first. I read that first, and then I read the budget. And then lastly, I go to the estimates. So let me go to page 37 of the audit report. The capital projects done by the Ministry of Agriculture et al. Included the upgrade of agricultural facilities, feral animal control, and procurement of agricultural equipment, incurred a total of 11.18 million from a budget of 9.75. No matter. You budget 9.75, spend 11.18 because it's just numbers. Major spending was upgrade agricultural facilities, which incurred a total of $557,187.
Where is that?
I would like to know. Subvention to Culturama of 2.59 million and upgrade of Culturama complex of 1.99 million. Now, I want to make a comment here before I move on. Culturama been happening for 50 years. 50 years. Up to last year, 2024. Culturama has a budget. And even though Culturama has a budget, this government is still giving a subvention to Culturama. So why don't you put that in the Culturama budget and make it their budget? Let them represent themselves. Because Culturama belongs to the government. It's not a private entity. It belongs to the government. So you had a subvention to Culturama of 2.59 million and then upgrade of cultural complex of 1.99 million. Now hear the comment from the audit people. The ministry has unexpectedly spent 4.75 million on the Culturama 50 renovations. Refer to the cover page. An expense that was not accounted for in the budget.
Exactly.
This is a damning indictment of the government.
Exactly. They do things off the cuff. You know, they don't stick to what they're going to say they're going to do in their capital budgets. They don't stick to anything they're saying in the current budget. You know, and it is par for the course for this government. How are you going to spend that class of money? You over budget by millions. You know, I mean, that expenditure of how much for agriculture?
557,187,000. $187,187.
You know where that money was spent?
Tell me.
I can guarantee you, phase 2 of the orchard at New River, at Indian Castle.
Oh, Lord of mercy.
You remember they said 406,000?
Yeah.
So far? So far? Okay.
You might be right. But listen, audit was not done yet, you know. Let me continue to read. This situation raises concerns, particularly given that the government allocates a subvention to support the Culturama each year. Despite this financial backing, the government does not appear to be reaping any tangible benefits, as the revenue generated from Culturama is not recognized as part of the government's income. This disconnect between funding and financial return prompts a critical examination of the event's economic impact and the overall effectiveness of the government's investment in cultural initiatives. It is essential to assess whether the resources dedicated to Culturama are yielding sufficient returns to justify the ongoing financial commitment. So when I put this to an accountant friend of mine, I said, listen, translate this to me in basic English. My friend said to me, listen, in accounting language, this is the way that audit is telling the government, I don't believe that you spend the money on Culturama where you say you spend it. You have not justified that you spent that 4.75 million on Culturama. So my friend who understand auditing, understand accounting, I just understand maths, simple maths, said to me, in accounting language, in auditing language, that is saying, listen, I feel like you thief some of the money.
It goes without saying that there is no, you can't account for all the money. You were never able to. Because you remember quite a significant amount of money is going to a particular cricket club down in Hanley's Road. Where the minister is the president. All right? Money is going over to St. James for the Hubbard's Beach Affair. There's money going in all sorts of meet and greet parties that has nothing to do with trying to make a return on the investment. Listen, what they need to do, because this thing is now so ridiculous, here's a simple way I suggested doing it. Make this a grant. Say, listen, Culturama, I'm granting you this. We don't want no receipts. We don't want nothing. This is a grant for Culturama. Because if you are telling the people of Nevis, we are voting in the parliament to fund fund Culturama. It gives the expectation of a return on an investment. But if you say, listen, it's a grant. Whatever you do with your grant, it's your business. Then you would not have these kind of slaps from the audit report, which every year they come out with the same complaints that the government is overspending. They're not respecting the budget process. They're not respecting the people's money. And there is no recourse for action against the government. That is the problem. When you have a simple report like an audit, which means nothing in terms of accountability, you can tell the government anything you want to say, but there's no penalty there to the government. The government ain't gonna penalize itself. There is no. It's up for us, the people of Nevis. It is for us, the people of Nevis. So really understand what is encapsulated in these reports as failure, as part of the failure mechanism of CCM, that they're not answering to the people how the people's money is spent. Every dollar wasted is a dollar less for education, for agriculture, for healthcare. So when the premier is wasting $5 million, $2 million here, $3 million there, and then says that he cannot afford dialysis, understand the consequence. These things do not disappear. They have knock-on effects throughout our society, throughout our communities. And some people are simply, it just, no, there are consequences to these things. And people must recognize that this is your tax money. This is your VAT, your road tax, your property tax, your licenses to operate. I mean, this is your money that they're taking up and spending willy-nilly as if there are some drunks in a bar. And people must take responsibility. I do not expect the government to take responsibility, because I have never. But we, the people, must take responsibility for their actions, because it's we who put them there to run the affairs of our country. And they're doing a terrible job at it. And we simply cannot be throwing water over our shoulders and say, that's gone down the drain. Because next year is another set of money you have to pay again. And the year after that is another set of money. Now, if you want to be judicious, if you want to be smart about how you spend your money, then put that money aside for scholarships for our children in trade school or tertiary level education. Put that money aside to enhance primary school education. Put that money aside for enhancing agricultural productivity. Put that money aside for hospital care. Rather than simply throwing it over our shoulders willy-nilly, not expecting a return, but grumbling to ourselves that there's no return. It makes no sense.
But if those things are not important to the government, they will never put anything aside, as you say, because those are not important. What is important to them, they put money into. What is important is to get somebody in a position to run a political campaign to try to win a seat to keep you in office. And so you see where the money is spent.
But it is us, the people. You know one thing I like about the US? There's an office called the Government Accounting Office, GAO. And they will give an account for every dollar spent by the government. And that report does give senators and congressmen belly aches, because this is an independent office that reports on the performance, how the money is spent in the US government, where the wastage is, and all that. And people use this report, this JL report, to bludgeon the government when it comes to their politics and the election prospects. Why aren't we, as a population, not more interested in seeing what the audit is saying, understand what the audit is saying, and use that same report to say to the minister, to the premier of Nevis, you are a bad spender, you are an incompetent financial manager of this country. The report says it. It's not as verbose as I'm saying it. But it is essentially saying to the government, you have wasted the people's money. You are not a good steward of the people's money.
Let me ask you a question. What percentage of the population you believe heard the budget debate, saw the auditor's report, and will make a determination based on what they heard and what they read?
It's a good question. And I have no doubt it's very few. But there are enough of us out there. There are enough of us out there who have read it, who have seen it, and who have listened to be out there advocating for those less understanding of it. Where each one of us is teaching each other. Because in the end, where are we going to go? This is our country. And there are persons opposite. There are persons in the government's employ who are part of the, who recognize what is happening. But it is their government. And so they keep quiet. As if it means nothing. We are all betraying ourselves. We are betraying our children. We are betraying this country. We are betraying ourselves in this place. If we are not going to be holding the government to account, no matter what government it is. And that's basically in a nutshell. We can sit here all day, all night, and pontificate about this and that. But if in the end of it, if we're not willing to stand up and say, no, Brantley, you have been a bad financial manager. Our bloodline is money. We cannot get anything done without it. And you are making us hemorrhage money. We can't afford you anymore. We simply cannot afford you anymore. We need to pass this to somebody else.
Let me stay with the audit report. I tell you, that is something that I love to read. And let me take you to the Ministry of Health, a comment that was made on page 37 of the audit report. And the auditor said the Ministry of Health incurred 4.65 million, representing 32.49% of its planned budget of 14.31 million. And it is so low at 32.49 million because they never intended to spend any of the money that was budgeted for the new extension to the hospital. Here is the critical part. Of the 1 million budgeted for the improvement of Alexandra Hospital, it incurred 1.12 million. Additional expenditures for the ministry included the environmental work program at $915,995. Here is a red flag coming up. The establishment of the hospital new wing, $463,015. But Dele, you must have missed this in the audit report. That's why I tell you I love to go to the audit report. We know that no work was done on the hospital new wing in this year.
There had to be back pay.
Back pay for who? It says the establishment of the hospital new wing at $463,015. It has procurement of medical supplies. I'm not going to question that. I don't know what they bought, but medical supplies. Under the Ministry of Health, here is something that made me look up and grab my pen and make notes. The upgrade and maintenance of community centers. How that get under health? And that is there for $215,596. And it was enough for the people at the audit office to say, listen, this is a concern. So they listed it. So you have improvement of community centers. Over $500,000 under the Ministry of Health. I didn't know they came under the Ministry of Health. I know they use some of them as health centers. But that's a lot of money. Okay? So that caused me to look up and wonder what was happening. And then I went over to page 40. And on page 40, I don't know if you knew, Daly, I don't know if you knew, Tulu. In 2024, a new instrument was introduced. The TDC Financial Services 2024 Mortgage of Land, with a total allocation of $3.6 million. The instrument recorded a disbursement of 3.6 million and a principal repayment of 100,160. By the end of the year, the total principal payments across 25 loans reached 13.53 million. I am told, learned later on in this report, that money from TDC is apparently what they use to buy lands at Ghana's.
Yeah, I think the land at Ghana's was 3.5 or 3.8 million dollars. They're just robbing people, Peter to pay Paul. That's what they're just. I've never seen a government disorganized, financially disorganized, no discipline whatsoever. None. No discipline. And this is coming from a man who was part of this process when I was permanent secretary. You came in with your budget, you stuck to your budget, you weren't allowed an inch over your budget. We had a budget director, we had people safeguarding, making sure that monies that were allocated, that is what you were allowed to spend, and not a penny more. You had discipline. I mean, it is a far cry to what's happening now, where it seems to be a free-for-all. People come up with these harebrained schemes on how to move money around or what to spend and what to spend on, totally disregarding the same budget you just passed in Parliament. I can't seem to get beyond that issue because it makes a mockery of the entire process. There's no guiding principle anymore. Things are just done helter-skelter. And that is why I'm having such a hard time trying to make sense of consecutive budgets, because you can't go back and reference anything. It's always stuff happening that you never saw before.
And tourism took up 2 pages and a little bit. But interestingly, what took up most of the space under tourism had to do with the Mango Festival. Tourism Youth Congress, infrastructure development in terms of the work being done by the NHCS for the museum, Bath Hotel, and so on, and the black and white campaign that they had that they call the Refresh Destination Branding Initiative for Nevis, that foolish black and white thing that they had. Spoke about visitor arrivals and supporting KPA and Winnie. The New River project, they said they will add some bathrooms. You probably need the bathrooms down there to flush Mark and his people. The Malcolm Gishard Park celebrating 5 years. But in terms of new initiatives, there is nothing here. There is not one comment to say, and we have approved the EIA for this particular hotel. And that we are looking at attracting in Nevis in the year 2026 a hotel which will give us 150 rooms, another 20 villas. This is the place where he should have had the time and the grace to say, and I am about to sign the agreement for Destiny. And Destiny is talking about bringing in X number of villas and 15,000 settlers. But he was man enough to put that in the budget.
Can't.
So under tourism, it is scant, it is bare. It doesn't speak well of a man who is going to Anguilla to represent Nevis to talk about tourism.
40% of our GDP is tourism derived. 40%. That is a staggering amount. It is our main income earner. It is a major driver of our economy.
You wouldn't see that in this budget.
And for such sparsity in representation, it means the status quo remains. It means that we are not striving to enhance that 40% to 45% or 50%. We're not looking to offer new products in the tourism sector to attract new arrivals and stayovers. We're not doing that because I see nothing there that says that. And it shows a lack of vision that has basically hamstrung our development here in Nevis for some time. Because without new and exciting innovations, new programming, new plants, new everything, you're not going to move the market, because then you're competing with the other CARICOM countries. You're competing in a global tourism endeavor, and you have brought nothing new except a black and white branding, except some talk about destiny. That all you have brought. Where's the practicality in all of this to grow the economy, to grow the sector? It just does not. There is no there.
So you brought in what you call a foreign expertise at the expense of the local persons to oversee the tourism charity and the tourism investment programs and what. And you're saying that out of these, nobody could have given any initiative to the government to move us forward?
Well, in deference to and out of respect for the new lady who is now the chair of the Nevis Tourism Authority, I don't think she has been here long enough to get any significant traction in any new idea she would have had. Because she would have come in at the time when there was an existing budget. Now, what would have happened in this new 2026 budget is a reflection of what her direction would have been, what she believed in the direction should be to move the sector forward. So I expected to see more in what she was proposing, the new chairperson, the new, CEO. I would expect to see something in there of significance that would, notch the program a bit. Well, we're not seeing any vision there. We're not seeing anything. It tells you again, we are back to status quo. We are back to, crossing T's and dotting I's, because perhaps there's no money, there's no elasticity in the budget to allow any significant changes to that plant, to that infrastructure, to those programs that would enhance the product. So until we hear from her, we really haven't heard from her. Mm-hmm. What is her plans and priorities? What is her programs? As the new CEO, what new things are you bringing to the table? We're not seeing anything. So all we're now having from her, for the time being, is just holding the steering wheel and hope the ship don't turn left or right. Just holding it. We're not seeing anything yet.
Nothing new.
Nothing new.
Okay, big things under agriculture, Dr. Daly. Madam President, the development of a viable broiler industry is still a priority for my government.
Okay.
I am happy to report that earlier this year we signed a contract with the Atlantic Poultry Biotech Incorporated in the amount of 1.6 million Eastern Caribbean dollars for the construction of a modern purpose-built processing facility at Prospect. We have been hearing this for 3 years, at a minimum, and nothing has happened. They have not made, well, I can't say they haven't made any steps forward. They have made some steps down. They dug a deep hole up at Prospect.
I understand that there's some activity at the site. I have not gone there to see the extent of it. I think the government will, I hope the government will try anything just to get something started to keep the pressure off of them.
They say it will be completed in 18 months.
18 months?
That's why in the budget. I can only say what the Premier said.
18 months?
The first phase of this facility will be completed in 18 months.
What are they building? The Taj Mahal? I mean, this is ridiculous. If they sign a contract for 1.6 million, that is still above what the initial contract by a local contractor was offering to build the plant. So you have gone above and beyond what was initially bargained for or bidded for. But again, we come back to a situation here that the Premier is saying in 18 months they're going to have the plant ready. Then what? The lands that you had put aside or promised the farmers that you would acquire at Webb's estate, the 30 acres that you promised the farmers, we will put you there. We'll make sure that you have a space to to ply your trade. We'll put you there to make sure you can have a safe environment for your broilers to grow and all that stuff. We're going to put 30 acres in the program for you. And then turn around and allow Destiny to get the 30 acres. You can't make this stuff up. So they have washed their hands of a very critical aspect of the broiler program by removing the broilers out of the environment of the the equation. So you have a plant but no broilers. I hate to laugh, but it is serious. How are you going to have half a program and expect it to work? So, have they made any provision anywhere else?
They haven't said that.
For farmers to be located? If you're going to take this spot and give it to Destiny, then common sense will dictate that you also provide an equal spot somewhere else out of the zone that can accommodate broiler operations. It's only common sense. So in 18 months, assume the plant is finished. So for another 18 months, it sit there empty, not doing anything because you have not made provisions for farmers to be located. Because you see, with broiler operations, most communities do not want them too close because, the sanitary standards for a mixed bag of farmers might be difficult to maintain. You might find some conscientious farmers who will make sure that you don't have any spills, so you don't get that smell. Your litter is properly maintained and aerated, so you don't have that aroma drifting through communities. So, with a program of this magnitude, we are looking to process 8 to 1,200 birds per day, 5 days a week. You need a significant investment in farm spaces, in buildings, in acreage. You simply can't just go into a community and put down a chicken pen, a chicken house. Public health will not have it.
Daily, I want to bet you a small sum, not a lot, that if they finish this broiler facility in 18 months, which is a hell of a long time, that by the time they finish, they still will not have any birds to process, because
I wouldn't bet you.
These guys can only think one way at a time. They are only thinking about building the facility and then not remembering that they are going to have birds to process.
But that is what's in the budget.
Remember they brought in equipment before they built the facility. So they have equipment sitting down paying rent for 3 years. And they are now building the facility. So that equipment is going to be there for almost 5 years.
I hate to laugh. I really hate to laugh.
It's true.
But this is a comedy show. This is a clown show. I do not know what else divisions need to understand about this government. I really do not know what else to say. Because, again, divisions by their very nature would never accept this level of mismanagement about anything that has to do with them directly. Not their families, not their homes, not their businesses, nothing. This is a clown show. You're bringing in equipment, $250,000 US worth of equipment. Pack it up for 3 years.
Paying rent,
$3,000 a month. Waiting now almost 3 years for the plant to be built. You're now saying you're looking at 2027. Somewhere in the summer of 2027 for this plant to be operational.
No, you didn't say that.
Well, he said 18 months.
18 months.
But you said that's phase one.
Phase one.
Phase one.
Yeah.
So what is phase two?
I guess the phase two is growing the broilers.
So then after 18 months, we would have nothing going. That we still have to be waiting the next 18 months before we have.
That is what I'm trying to explain. That you're going to be looking at starting your processing of broilers in the summer of 2027. The summer of 2027. There's nothing concurrent. everything is being done separate. Bring in equipment, set it down. Build the building, set it down. Equip the building, set it down, and then bring in the boards. Everything should have been concurrent.
And after they bring in the boards, then they think about feed.
That's another problem. And then I have not seen any. I've not seen any plans of how they intend to market these birds, the processing aspect of it, the marketing of it. I have not. All of those things should be done concurrently. Conversations should have been had already with the major importers to say, listen, sign on the dotted line here that this is what we intend to do. We want you on board. Conversations should have been had with all those persons who know buy wholesale to do the barbecue or whatever it is. This is what we intend to do. Be ready for it. All right? Those kind of things should be happening concurrently, not sequentially. Concurrently. We're not getting that. And so you end up with a program that is so disjointed. Mm-hmm. It's going to cost the people of the taxpayers and leave a bunch of money. We are already paying $3,000 just to store equipment for 2 years, 3 years ago. Come on.
Okay, let's take a little break. Make sure our sponsors are happy. And when we come back, we still have more from the budget.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
Pico, the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS, and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Pinney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166@yahoo.com. Pico, the way to go.
Yes, sire. Some girl I move like them a killer, but them have a circle and the dog and tree. Yes, sire. I've been a man on 2002 there. But what? Hey, women are never shy. Put up your hand them high, come in a suit that and
We're back with you, and tell me, and trust me, we're going to get things right by next week. We have to make sure that we set up all these things. We have a new computer with all kind of things. And so every now and again, you may hear me play something which is not what I intended, but bear with me. Eric doing big things. The Premier say you're going to try to get him 2 new tractors next year.
Well, they only have 1 now.
They're looking to get 2 more, which means that based on the way the government is going, they ain't going to spend the money. They ain't going to buy no new tractors. No. So they're going to repeat it the year after.
They're gonna look to get somebody to donate them. The problem, when I was a PS some years ago, we had 3 tractors, working tractors, and we had a very robust maintenance team. After I left, the maintenance team was basically decimated. And without maintenance and equipment that runs as hard as tractors, especially in the kind of soil we have here, which is very, very tough, it takes a toll on the equipment. All right? If you are in a loamy soil like St. Kitts, or, if you see those persons plowing in the U.S. with just a sandy loam, tractors can last a very long time without much. But even those need maintenance. If you have no maintenance program where you systematically bring in the equipment, whether it's working or not, to make sure you stick to a schedule of maintenance, oil changes, lube changes, regular washing down, checking for leaks, you are going to run into a world of hurt where you know how to replace tractors regularly. That is the state of play right now at the Ministry of Agriculture.
Those tractors should last for upwards of 25 years.
Listen, those tractors should last a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
They're built to last a lifetime, but you have to do maintenance.
You have to do the maintenance.
All right? I've had situations, even on my own farm. I try to remove as much of the stones as possible so that the tines of the tractors do not get broken, that you don't put undue pressure on the mechanisms, on the plows. And it is not an easy work. Nevis has some of the toughest soil to work with. You got some tight areas that which you have to squeeze into, small backyard farms, half-acre areas you have to maneuver through. It's hard on equipment. And if you're that hard on equipment, you must also have a top-notch maintenance schedule.
Agreed.
To make sure that your equipment lasts a lifetime.
Agreed.
But when you're going to cut budgets and you're going to remove the sort of equipment and personnel,
then you got to pay top dollar to get new equipment.
That's right.
Okay. Under water, I noticed that the Premier said that they are going to commission a drone flyover of proposed areas to assess their suitability for drilling. And what concerns me here is that they just had drone flyovers in St. Kitts. The equipment was here. The people were here. They did not invite the people to come to Nevis to do the flyover in Nevis at the same time. So now you have to bring back the people, pay additional costs to get them here, and do the flyover when they simply could have tagged on to what was being done in St. Kitts. But I leave that alone. These people know how to waste money. Let me go to another part which is of concern, and that is paragraph 100. It says the expansion of activities in the construction sector is also manifesting itself in the demand for water services. During the period January to October 2025, the department has facilitated requests for 179 new water connections consisting of 160 residential applications, 17 requests for farming and 2 for commercial connections. They are crying out because of 179 new connections, new requests. What's going to happen when we have 15,000 residents, settlers, over on the south coast? I mean, yes, these people say that they're going to provide their own water, but what they're saying and how they plan to get that water don't make any sense. Because you're not going to get that from rainfall alone. I don't care how much gut they said has come down and how they're going to collect water and treat it and all. That's rubbish.
That's absolute rubbish. Well, let me say something about the construction sector. Because it wasn't really dealt with any alacrity, as the Premier liked to say in his speeches. No alacrity. But let me say a little bit about that. Because it came to my attention this week, and I think I wrote about it on Facebook, regarding difficulties at the quarry, the government's quarry. Now, you will recall in 2013, 2014, when the government came into power, one of the first things they did was to take some money that was earmarked for housing, a loan from Social Security, and they took $1.3 million of that money and went down to St. Martin and bought some mining equipment and installed them up there at the quarry, the Nevis Island Government Quarry, operated by Nevis Housing and Land Development Corporation. And the idea was to produce enough aggregate, not only for government construction, but to sell on the commercial market. The problem is they put their prices so low, the other local quarries could not compete. So Mills and Passy down there in the river, at Indian Castle, sorry, Stoneman over there in the bush, Benji over there in St. James, all closed within a very short period of time. They could not compete. It was actually cheaper for those previous suppliers to go and buy stone, buy fill from the government operation and resell it. They could not compete because Housing and Land was subsidizing their operations. And so if you're a small producer, that's you and your family, you can't compete. The problem now is that industry has crashed. It was bottomed out. You remember they were sending barge loads to St. Martin, to St. Kitts, to Guyana. You can hardly get a truckload now out of the government's quarry. Production has dropped 90% on a good day. On a bad day, nothing moves. That has caused a lot of difficulties for persons involved, contractors, homeowners, the real difficulty in acquiring stones, crushed stones. The fill for the roads, there's none, or not enough. And what caused the crash of the government's operation? No maintenance. Everything broke, and they broke all at once. So the milling machine broke, the loader broke, the separator broke, the sieve broke. They're using band-aids to hold the thing together just to get enough fill to supply, or just enough crushed stone to supply some small output. The entire industry has collapsed. You're not going to hear a word about that. Several budgets ago, you heard them bragging in Parliament during budget of the millions they're making exporting aggregate to Guyana and St. Martin and all kind of places. Not a peep. Not a peep this year. Because the industry has crashed.
It's unfortunate. But true. Let's look at renewable energy. And under renewable energy, I want to read some sections for you. Madam President, our plans for the exploration and development of our geothermal energy resource have not waned. I don't know why he had to put that on record. Have not waned. We are now rapidly advancing towards our goal of delivering 30 megawatts of renewable energy baseload power to Nevis and St. Kitts within the medium term. This initiative is central to our goal of achieving 100% electricity from renewables by the year 2030.
2030.
Is in the budget. Is the Premier put it in there? This is the same Premier who said when he was in opposition that just listen, just get us into government and I will flick the switch. This is the same gentleman who went to England, the United Kingdom, and did an interview and put on his best British accent to tell the world that by 2018, Nevis will be the greenest place on planet Earth. But here is he, the same man who his government brought in a drill rig from Middle America and went on the drill rig for the 2017 election and said, hey, listen, we're here to give you geothermal energy. They spent $5 million on that campaign. $5 million on that geothermal exodus. I say exodus because they brought in the rig, and as soon as they won the election, they put the rig back on barges and sent them back out of the island. And this is the man who said, hey, listen, we're drilling. So they drilled a well up there in Hamilton and then came to us to say to us in a town hall meeting that it was not properly done, not by industry standard, so they had to seal it off. This came from the general manager of NEVLEC, not from us. And here is the Premier now saying they are doing all that they can to make sure that there is water connectivity to the site in preparation for the start of the drilling process.
Let me ask you a question while you're
let me read this first. I want everybody to get it in at one time. It said, in the interim, our local technical team is continuing its work to secure the purchase of land surrounding the well sites, develop adequate water storage facilities, and ensure that there is water connectivity to the site in preparation for the start of drilling. Working with the technical team from the CDB, we remain hopeful that we can begin production drilling in 2026. The ultimate goal is the commissioning of the geothermal plant by the year 2029.
So, didn't the Premier of Nevis went into the Parliament in St. Kitts and passed a resolution or law that geothermal is no longer a Nevis resource but a national resource, and that Congress Maynard is the minister who is responsible for these
that
things.
That part was not in the resolution. But if it's a national resource, he's the minister at that federal level.
So then I cannot understand how the Premier is saying that which seems to me that he's saying that his administration, when he's already said that this is now a national resource. So how come from when it came back under his tutelage and his guidance?
You see, that part to me is not even as important as the dates. Because I want people to remember that this is a man who promised that by 2017 he will flick the switch.
2018.
2017?
17?
2017. Remember they were in opposition in 2012. And he's saying the first term of a new CCM administration, they will deliver geothermal.
I had it
That
wrong.
is the premise by which they went on that drill rig. He in his hard hat and everything with big scissors and cut the ribbon.
I remember that.
2017. But here is the joke. Greenest place by 2018. What Mark Brantley just told us in this 2026 budget, which he delivered on Tuesday, is that, listen, I am not ready to come out yet and beg your forgiveness for lying to you, but I lied. Because if in 2025 he is saying to us, if we start drilling in 2026, by our best guess, we will not be able to deliver until 2030. You're talking 4 years. Mark Brantley is admitting that he lied all along. Simple as that.
They drilled, the government of Mark Brantley drilled a well in 2017. Drilled it. And in no time after that, the well had to be abandoned, blocked up, destroyed. At what point are we taking this guy seriously about anything? He has mishandled this geothermal thing worse than anything I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen some bad stuff. But the level of mismanagement of this geothermal thing has been monumental in its failure. And every year it's the same rubber stamp. We are going to be the greenest. The world's first totally green. Listen. When you go to the altar to get married,
let's go.
And the preacher says, for better or for worse. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of women now are saying, leave after worst part. Meaning, you know, worse not with nobody, you know. Once you get to the point where that worst come, I gone. So even in the sight of God, people are saying, nope. But we are in the sight of man. And we're saying, yeah, go ahead. Why no? No. You have had more chances, more bites of this apple than you deserve. So anything he says going forward about geothermal, I'm sitting back. I'm sitting back because I know it's crap. Once Mark Brantley has anything to do with this, once CCM has anything to do with this geothermal, it's not going to go anywhere. And that is why Congress Maynard, to your point, said recently, publicly, that it's under me. Mm-hmm. If Congress is saying that, he himself recognizes he does not have a partner in Nevis that he's going to work with.
Based on what the Premier said.
If Congress Maynard is saying it is now on me to deliver geothermal, it means that he has no equal partner on Nevis. The resource happened to be on Nevis. but the management is coming out of his office on St. Kitts.
Well, the premier.
So if Nevis people want geothermal, look to Congress.
Andrew.
But it's really of some concern, and it will be going forward an issue. Believe it or not, my word, it will be an issue going forward as to the control of geothermal. It will be an issue going forward. My word.
It would be.
It can be a political issue going forward.
Let me put it this way. If any government in Charlestown were to hand over the geothermal project to Basti, that would be political suicide. And I put it as plain and as blunt as that.
Well,
whose voice is that?
Spencer Brand. Well, Anaya, I tell you something. CCM has committed political suicide because it is clear to me that geothermal and the control of geothermal has gone down to Bastille. And I make one point. We have heard that there were 5 companies that put in bids for geothermal, the drilling part of it, which is coming up sometime soon. And they say, I am happy to report that the bidding process has been completed, which saw a total of 5 international drilling firms submitting bids for the drilling of the 5 wells, namely 3 production wells and 2 injection wells at the Hamilton site. A driller has been selected and a formal announcement will be made shortly. You know what is the strange thing about that? This geothermal is in Nevis. The drilling will be done in Nevis. 5 companies submitted bids. 1 has been identified. I heard from Prime Minister Drew that a firm from Iceland has been selected. But they put the muzzle and bag him out. He can't even say that a firm from Iceland has been selected. And they apparently have said to him, don't you dare name the firm. You have given up control of geothermal in Nevis, so Congress will tell us which firm has been selected to do the drilling. Boy, listen, I feel embarrassed for Mark Brantley. But all he can say is that 5 firms put in bids, 1 has been selected. He can't even tell you that the firm that has been selected come from a country which begins with I. The name of the country begins with I.
So all you read from what he said in the budget makes absolutely no sense based on the reality.
We know it makes good sense. A driller has been selected.
No, but not that. All the things they say, my government is going to do this and my government is going to do that. That makes no sense.
None.
Sounds good.
He is right now on a string and they pull him and joke him and...
Listen, this guy,
1 firm has been selected.
This guy has become a national embarrassment.
He's a disgrace.
A national embarrassment. You know, and I pity the fool. You know, Mr. T used to say, I pity the fool.
Mm-hmm.
I pity the fool because, you know...
Let me take a call daily. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, sir. How are you doing? Good evening,
I'm
Mr.
getting better and better.
Paul. Good evening, Dr. Daly. Good evening, Tulu. My friends and comrades, tonight they present a budget, but that is a flimsy budget. The budget is empty. The same thing happened last year. Is the same thing happened this year. And what happened this year going to happen next year. Nothing will be doing. They're going to just do the little road, do the little water, etc., but the budget is empty. 7 divisions, are you open eye and see what is going on? Nothing is going on Nevis. Nothing is going on here. You know? And we elected these people every 5 years to office. They promise that they're going to do this and they promise that they're going to do that. Nothing has been done. 7 divisions, please give me a chance and I will turn this country around. Good night, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. I'm going to finish with renewable energy because we getting up close to the 10 o'clock hour. But I just want to say that when CCM came into office, there was a wind farm that was working and that was capable of producing 2.2 megawatts of power. 20% of our needs here in Nevis. They spoke about the geothermal energy. And the only other mention they made there in Nevis, anything to do with energy, is that they are going to give 50% discount on customs dues on electric cars. That's it. They made no mention of solar. They made no mention of wind at all. And I'm saying that as you look around Nevis, you see more and more people going solar. The government, the customs duty and the solar, not bad. But Jesus Christ, the VAT is killing people. I am in the process right now of installing solar panels on my house because I'm not able to pay the electricity bill. And my cousin Keith, who is the man, the brain behind this whole thing, when we had to face up to customs and pay, I mean, the customs charges themselves were, let's say, about $2,000. But the 17% VAT was nearly $20,000. I mean, if you're going to be helping people, you got to help people. I mean, 17% and the importation of your solar panels, the government got to do better than that. They should be providing individuals with a subsidy, not charging people and saying they're going to kill you just because you want to go solar. And the Premier last year in his budget said, as a matter of fact, Premier in his budget last year said, threaten businesses, you go solar, I'm going to stick it to you. That made no sense then, it makes no sense now. The final thing I want to talk about on the budget for this week, because we're going to come back to it next week, is on paragraph 174 and 175. And I want to put this against the backdrop of us getting the report and the fair share in March of this year. We have been asking for information on the fair share report since April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and finally in December, something dropped. Paragraph 174. It is no secret that our Citizenship by Investment program, CBI, has slowed drastically to the extent that the projected annual revenues have fallen way below that which was realized in previous years. Considering this, we are projecting that our annual share of revenue from the CBI program will fall below the 66 million previously received. To be conservative, we have budgeted the amount of 35 million as a moderate share of revenue from the program for the upcoming fiscal year. Madam President, this is paragraph 175. I am to announce that through negotiations with the federal government, an agreed share of 25% of CBI flows will now come to the NIA, realizing the long advocated for position of my government that such revenue be shared on a pro rata population basis. In addition, we expect to receive the amount of 4.8 million in grant funding to supplement our income. So all of a sudden, our share has gone from 66 million in previous years to 35 million projected. He said conservatively. What this means is that our deficit budget, which saw us 12 million short last year, this year with only 35 million coming from the CBI share of revenue, it means that we're going to catch your ass. As simple as that.
Pat Bartlett told us that months ago that there will be a serious cut in terms of the amount of revenue we receive because of the fall off of CBI. I don't think that the Premier took us seriously, and it is now in his laps. Daly was saying for some time that based on what happens, that we are going to have a significant decrease. And I think the Prime Minister made it abundantly clear that all of the overheads will be taken off.
Hi, good evening, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen. Y'all have more heart than me. You listen and study this budget. I didn't bother because it's just blah, 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 geothermal, blah, 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 airport, blah, hospital. I could tell you exactly what I said. And now we got blah, 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 sustainable poultry processing and blah, blah, blah. The only change is sustainable destiny. But what you just said, Mr. Powell, it needs enlightening. So you're telling me that our Premier has said in the budget speech that when there was no fair share agreement, we were getting 66 million?
Correct.
And now we have a fair share agreement. We're only getting 35, that's half?
That is what he said in the budget.
Wow. Well, thank God we didn't have a fair share agreement before, so we might have been getting 35 then. So, with no agreement, we got 66 million. Now we have agreement. Hooray, we're only getting 35. That makes a lot of sense to me. Good night.
You have a good night.
Let me say something, eh? This particular entry in the budget presentation is very troubling. Person must recognize two things. Well, one thing, one major thing. The budget would have been prepared and sent off to print at least 6 to 2 months ago. That means they had knowledge of what is about to happen in the cutback in CBI receipts. We have been asking for some time to have sight of the World Bank report. They have refused. They have quietly met, according to what Dr. Drew said and according to what Brantley has written. They have quietly met and negotiated, as per constitutional requirement, 25% to 75%. If you listen to what Dr. Drew said at his round table 2 weeks ago, when asked about the same World Bank report, his commentary said that after common services are removed, then 25% will go to Nevis and 75% to go to St. Kitts. So when I made my inquiries, right after I heard it on the budget, I would have jumped on the phone and made some calls. And I was assured that the Premier was told that no deductions will be made, that Nevis would get 25% of the gross. But it was still troubling because when you go back to what the Prime Minister said, that there will be deductions, and then the Premier is saying there will be no deductions, then who is telling the truth? I was further troubled by the fact that no mention at all was made about the common services. The Premier in his budget presentation made no reference to the fact that is Nevis paying for what Dr. Drew called common services, national security matters, embassy matters, social safety net programs, all of those things that Dr. Drew said that will be deducted before Nevis sees 25% of the revenues. Who is telling the truth? This massive fall off of 42% from 66 to 35, and 35 is only the best conservative number. It could go less. So we are working with 35, right? How was that determined? Did Brantley have sight of the data? Remember, for years he has said nobody sharing information with him. He don't know what inflows are. He said that when he was a member of Team Unity, inside the cabinet, he had no clue how much money was coming. He don't know how much money was in the bank. Nothing. So all of a sudden now he has sight of that information. We need to clarify, because based on the calculations, it is saying to us that $105 million went to Sinkits, 35 to Nevis, for a total pool of receivables of $140 million. For what year? It can't be for 2026, 2025. So what are they basing 2026 on for these projections to hold true? Are they saying that it's going to be the same for 2026? They're seeing a trend? In January of this year, the CIU posted that there has been a spurt of 169% receipts in applications for CBI. So in January, you had a 169% spurt in the growth of CBI, and by December, or should not only by December, by October, you have a 42% decline in Nevis's revenue. Something is not making sense, and we need clarification. Dr. Drew need to answer. Mark Brantley will not answer because he don't know. Dr. Drew need to ask a question. Was the common services that you said will come out of our share, was it taken out? Was $31 million worth of common services taken out of Nevis share and we got the balance? We need to know that.
Thank you very much. Tulu, give me a closing statement. Keep it tight. I know that there are calls coming in, callers, but I really don't like to do overtime because overtime incur costs. So give me a nice tight closing statement, Tulu.
I am wondering if the Premier is now looking for his friend Janssen to make up the shortfall that he's going to lose off of the CBI receipts. He has hitched his cart towards Janssen. I want him to tell us that. Good night.
Caller, we're in the closing sequence, so if you make it tight, we can have you. Good evening. Okay, that caller left us. Daly, give me a nice tight closing statement.
Oh, I thought that was it for me.
Okay, Daly's true.
Okay. And I'm going to say to you, listen, we're going to come back with the budget next week. And we're going to dig deeper into some of the aspects of the budget. But again, my reaction after reading the budget a couple of times, same old, same old. Nothing new, nothing exciting. They still have registered some of the very same programs. The road from Church Ground coming through to Government Road to Hamilton is still there. The road in Borden Pasture, Brown Pasture that they have been fighting with is still there. The hospital is still there. What the Premier didn't say in this budget is what I heard him say on a previous occasion, that is going to take another 18 to 19 million to finish the hospital. What we didn't hear the Premier say is in this budget, is not written here, but I heard it said, is that there are two options. And the two options are to finish the hospital as is. And the next option is to build a new hospital. If the Taiwanese are suggesting that you build a brand new hospital in a brand new location, it means that they are telling the Premier what Daly and Tulu and I and the whole of NRP have said to him, that this one is not fit for purpose and it's cheaper to use it for something else rather than to try to modify it to make it a hospital. It's just not going to work. And so we're leaving you there tonight, but we're going to come back next week, because one of the things I heard the Premier say, which again makes no sense at all, is that we come here, we do all our work, we present our budget, and then when we come here and we present our budget, them guys down there in Bass, they go and present their budget and do things that affect us. Like the VAT. This year where you had the first 6 months with juice VAT. Well, Mr. Premier, there's a simple solution, you know? Present your budget after the federal budget. And then you will know what they say and you will know how to make your adjustments. But you can go ahead and play man and present yours before without having any discussions with them, and they don't tell you what they plan to do. And then they present the budget and knock a reduce VAT on you and have you scrambling. That can work too. Who can hear us feel? We'll see you next week, people. Until then, be good.
PICO, the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Finney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166@yahoo.com. PICO, the way to go.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.